Hi everyone, my name is Eddie and I am a therapist who specializes in trauma, stress, and anxiety. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about trauma therapy or EMDR, right? So I think a lot of people ask me what is trauma therapy and why is it different than other types of therapy, and how do you navigate being a trauma therapist? And I think people just have lots of questions about trauma and how to make sense of it, or how to define it, or how to identify if they are experiencing trauma. And so I'm going to present to you how I conceptualize it. I think I will say to you that I think I am well versed in it, but I am no expert. I have not studied it, I think, to the level that there are people who study it that much more in depth. But I feel like I have a good grasp of trauma therapy. And so I'm going to share with you, and hopefully it helps you to have better understanding and better knowledge, right? So the thing that I say to people about regular therapy, which I'm a therapist, so I guess I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid and say everybody should go to therapy. The thing that I talk about with therapy is that life can be challenging, life can be hard. And so we often need support. Things happen in our lives, and I tell my clients this all the time. I use the garbage can analogy, right? Things happen and you put things in the garbage can, right? Life, stress of somebody annoyed you at work, and commute, and where you're going to get money for bills, and life happens and you just are overwhelmed, and it just goes into the garbage can of life, right? Just the stress of life. And so having a therapist a lot of times helps you clear out the garbage. It's let me clear this garbage out with you, right? When traumatic events happen, and I would say something like a divorce or the death of a parent, or just something that you weren't necessarily expecting, or maybe you were expecting, but when it happened, it's it still affects your functioning. Well, now let's say you've put a vacuum cleaner in the garbage can. You've put this box that you just put all this stuff in the garbage can, and now the garbage can is starting to get full, and now you can't close the garbage can. And so you're avoiding it. You don't want to talk about it. Maybe you're depressed, you're anxious, and you're just avoiding dealing with the garbage can. And so it starts to get smelly, and it starts to get overwhelming, and you're scared of it. And this is where a therapist can come in and is I'm gonna put on the hazmat suit with you, and we're just gonna go through the garbage, and we're just gonna pull this out. We're just gonna do what we got to do to get you back to baseline, close the garbage lid so that you can open it and just move on with life and put stuff in the garbage can of life, right? So that's how I describe therapist overall, therapy period. I describe myself as the trauma therapist as the vacuum cleaner. When the vacuum cleaner gets in the garbage can, when the the big boulder gets in there, the thing's not work. I am a traumatic event happens, and it's you don't know what to do with it. And so my job is to help you navigate the garbage can of life. So with trauma therapy, this is how I conceptualize it, from a neurobiological standpoint. Things happen, right? We have memories. And so memories are processed in a nice, round, juicy ball, right? It's an event happens, and we have the capacity to process it, and it gets processed, and then it goes on the shelf, right? And then we have these memories, good and bad, when you hit the first home run, when you had your first kiss, when maybe when your mom yelled at you for the first time. You have an ability to process it in a way and conceptualize it and put it on the shelf, right? And these are all the memories. These are all memories. A traumatic event happens. You engage in fight, flight, or freeze. And I will say to someone, this is your brain, right? This is your thinking brain. When you're in fight, flight, or freeze, your brain goes offline, and you're down to the limbic system, which is survival mode, right? You're in war, you're getting abused, you're in a stressful environment where you can't think, and you're offline, and you fight, flight, or freeze. There is no thinking right now. You're in fight, flight, or freeze. After the event happens, you have not truly processed it, because you're like, we got to move on. We got to get the kids to school. We got to get to work. Like, we're at war. We've got to focus on survival. We've got to get fed. We've got whatever it is. We've got to meet our basic needs. And there's not really the opportunity to process. So instead of like something happening like this, where it gets processed appropriately, it's kind of like this, right? And then you take that memory and it's all jumbled up now, and you put it on the shelf along with these nice, juicy, healthy, processed memories. Now you got this, right? Now you start trying to put these healthy memories, you're now stacking. Then it's like now you've got these unprocessed memories. You're stacking these unprocessed memories. And then, oh, by the way, more traumatic events happen, especially if you've been in abusive relationships, or you're like a first responder and you're seeing things and your life is in danger every day. Like, so now you've got all these memories, right? And these memories that have not been stored properly, and your brain has to, you just got to live life. So your brain doesn't have time to like make it nice and round and juicy. So it just stores things in the body, because it's like, we don't know what to do with this. Just put it over here. Put it in the shoulder. Put it in your elbow. Just put it over there. Put it over there. Because we got to eat. We got to get to work. We have things to do, right? And so you're not processing these memories appropriately. But yet these memories that are not properly processed are now on the shelf. And now it is this ability, because you have not processed these memories appropriately, your functioning is now impacted. Your brain is now always on the lookout for danger, and it can access the memory like, well, what did we do last time we were in danger? Fight, flight, freeze. What did we do last time? So maybe now like you get triggered and you're fighting, and people are like, why are you like, you just got into an argument at work, like what, why are you for what, right? But no one knows, and you may not even know, that you're accessing the traumatic memory that like the last time you were in a threatening situation, that you fought or you froze, or you fled, you fled. And so now this is what you automatically do. Your brain knows how to go back to the memory that's like, well, what did we do last time? What did we do last time? And then it accesses what it did last time, which a lot of times was just not healthy, was maladaptive. I know for adults where there was like tremendous abuse when they were younger, they just had to freeze. Like, what were they going to do, right? And like they couldn't do anything, but they remembered, and they were like, okay, next time we have the smell, next time we taste something, next time we're going to remember the next time this happens, and then we're going to react. And so this is why you will see people be triggered, kind of like either they don't know or they do know, right? Like I have clients who will say, I told my mom that, like I was abused, and my mom was like, that didn't happen. That did, or just forget about it. But yet the abuser is constantly in our house, coming over for the holidays, or actually we live with this abuser. And so so now I'm always on edge, and a person will say like, I don't know why my kid's being weird and being different. Well, your kid is constantly being activated, or it's constantly being triggered, and so it's not had the ability to process the memory. So when I am talking to a client and they're telling me things like they can't keep a job because either they for whatever reason they get triggered, or they get upset, or they have decided that like someone's always out to get them, or they flee because like they felt triggered, or they freeze and their boss yelled at them, and like there is an awareness like, oh, that sounds like that might be trauma. And so when I have this awareness, when I listen to clients speak about their functioning, a lot of times, and again, I think clients know if they're reaching out to a trauma therapist, they can identify, yeah, it was this thing that happened when I was like 5 years old, or when I was at war, when I was in Iraq, or when my wife divorced me and I saw her whatever. Like, a lot of people can identify a traumatic event, but they don't necessarily know that it's stored in their body, and they don't necessarily know how to process it. And so the job, and for me, is to help you figure out how to process it and desensitize you to it, so that one, you can think about the memory and not be triggered, or you can think about a similar memory, a similar event, again, like you got yelled by your dad and you're getting yelled by your boss, similar, like a similar experience, that I can help you desensitize to the event, and I can help you reprocess it to sort of say you are safe now. Part of the thing with trauma is that your body, your brain, does not know that are no longer in danger. It still thinks you're in danger, and so it will respond accordingly. It will flip its lid and it will get into survival mode. And so you will act in ways that people are like, you're just being crazy, you're being nuts, you're, like there's no reason for you to like react to that level. And so my job, and I use EMDR, and I have another video that I describe EMDR a little bit with bilateral stimulation. The point of using EMDR with trauma therapy is to get your body and your brain to access these traumatic memories and to properly digest it. So instead of being like this, right, on the shelf, we kind of like take it off the shelf and we just make it like a whole juicy, nice memory. Now, again, the event happened. We're not going to change that the event happened. The traumatic event happened, but now it's been properly processed and it's now been properly digested, and you can put it on the shelf. And the beautiful thing for me about EMDR is that, when you do EMDR, it's like you've got all these stacks, right? You've got these stacks of traumatic memories. The thing with EMDR is that you can activate, you can access all of these traumatic events, not in one sitting, because I will talk about intensives in another video, but you can access all of these traumatic events, all of these stacked up, jacked up memories. You can access a whole line of traumatic memories and in one sort of fell swoop, make them nice and juicy. So that is why, one, I love EMDR, but I love trauma work because I can see truly how transformative it is to help someone finally either understand their trauma, inform them about their trauma, and help them transform that trauma into like, now it's something that is properly processed and digested, and you've gotten your brain online and you've closed up the loop, and you can help them put them on the shelf and it's nice and juicy and healthy. So I hope this was helpful. If you like this video, I would love to get your feedback. Do you have any other questions about trauma therapy? Like I said, I am specialized in intensive EMDR, which is like 4 to 8 hour sessions, which I will do another video about that. But if you're interested, if you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. But until next time, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.